Hi there and welcome to the vlog. In this episode, I would like to talk about this toxic cultural trait that a lot of Filipinos seem to be guilty of. Now, I've seen a couple of these videos on social media where, Filipinos talk about certain toxic traits, one of which is the concept of utang na loob or indebtedness or a deep sense of gratitude towards certain people or towards all people. And I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring in terms of what I think about these toxic traits. And I noticed that this particular one that I'm talking about hasn't been discussed yet. But before I get into that, I wanted to give an update on the vlog and the channel. I was wrong from yesterday or from the previous video where I said I had about 150 subscribers. I actually have 191 subscribers. So that's pretty big. So that I know that one subscriber there on the 191 is hanging on for dear life. But I really would like to increase that, one subscriber at a time, one video at a time, one day at a time. So I'm going to work hard towards doing that. So yeah, we're currently at 191 subscribers. I really would love to increase that to something where it reaches a point that the vlog is making some money or is being monetized. Like I said in the previous video, I will use the proceeds from whatever this makes in the future to really help people out, especially people who have fallen into hard times and just need a little bit of help. So I want to be completely transparent, and I really would love your help and your support in reaching that goal. I'll keep you posted on the subscriber base, and then eventually or ultimately, I hope, the amount of money or the revenue that this content generates. So yes, please keep on watching the videos, keep on liking them, and please comment below. That's really the one that helps these videos get exposure. If you comment below, and I'll engage you if you have any questions or if you want to discuss something. So, and then also the previous video that I uploaded got a total of 21 or 22 views, and I was like, all right, that's a start, right? I know the previous version of this vlog would average about 100 views every time I uploaded something. So we've got a long ways to go, but you got to start somewhere, right? Like I said, I'm revitalizing this vlog, and I was surprised. It was 3 years since the last video that I uploaded. So it's been a while. So we really are starting from zero. And like I said, I need your help. Please please subscribe to the channel. More importantly, please comment on the video below. So let's get back to the topic at hand, this particular toxic trait that it seems some, or if not a lot of us Filipinos are guilty of. I know I'm guilty of this. And I just wanted to clarify also from the get-go that this is not meant to criticize us Filipinos or to generalize us Filipinos. It's just pointing this out because it seems that it's noticeable, or at least I've noticed this in my experience, in my interactions and in my dealings with friends, family, and other Filipinos. I've noticed this come up. And also, I'm not saying this is exclusive to Filipinos. I'm sure this trait applies to other people as well. So I'm not just saying this is exclusively Filipinos or only Filipinos are guilty of this. It's just that because of the world that I move in, or the circles that I move in, I notice this more with Filipinos. So let's get to it. Like I said, I've seen a couple of videos where they talk about other toxic Filipino traits like utang na loob, or feeling indebted, or like having this deep sense of gratitude either towards family or friends or other people that have helped you, to the point that it's detrimental already. It's not doing you any good. Like I said, it's not to criticize. It's really more to shine a light on it so that we can have a discussion about it, so that we can improve not only as a group but also as individuals. So let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. Um, Put your concerns or your questions in the comments below, and let's have a discussion about it. It helps to talk about it. The first thing is identifying that this is the problem, and then after that, being comfortable talking about it, and then after that comes the resolution, or the determination to kind of improve or better ourselves, by decreasing that kind of behavior or decreasing that kind of toxic trait towards other people. So what exactly is this toxic trait that I'm talking about? And this toxic trait is this concept or this mindset of baka ano ang sabihin ng mga kapitbahay. Again, I'm gonna repeat that. Ano na lang ang sasabihin ng mga kapitbahay. In English, that translates to just what will our neighbors think, or just what will the neighbors say about us. It's like a more toxic or more negative version of keeping up with the Joneses, right? Where we try to buy something that we see our neighbors have, even though we can't afford it, in an attempt to, keeping up with their lifestyle or making sure we're at par or equal to what they're doing, even though more often than not, they probably are doing that and they're getting into debt by doing that, by always upgrading their car or making sure you have the latest fashion or the latest gadget that's not necessarily needed in your life, and it's really just an extra or a luxury. So it's like it's a version of that, or like a bad version of keeping up with the Joneses, where we as Filipinos, more often than not, we're so concerned about what our neighbors will say about us or will think about us, to the point that it affects how we move, how we behave, or how we do things. Like, for example, I think this is the most common one that I've experienced in my life or in my history. When a particular family's child, whether they're older or maybe they think they're not at the right age yet, somehow gets pregnant or, conceives a child out of wedlock, there's always this shame about that, where even before thinking of the child's, how do you say it? Even before thinking about the child's well-being, the son or the daughter, you were more concerned about, oh my God, this is a disgrace to the family. Just what will the neighbors think? Or just what will the neighbors say? And I say, who cares about what the neighbor says or thinks or perceives us? Think about how you're gonna support your child first, or how you're gonna deal with it, rather than worrying about what the neighbors will say. So it's a version also of saving face. Like, we're worried about how we're gonna look or how we're gonna appear outside of our house or our household. And I really feel that's very toxic, and it's very negative, and it's something that we should face. It's something that we should talk about and discuss and agree that it's a thing, it happens, and that we should try to better ourselves and improve ourselves, so that our actions, our thoughts, our behavior is not necessarily influenced by what we think our neighbors might say or think of us, and instead worry about our own problems and see how we can resolve that, rather than acting from a place or acting out of a place where we're worried about saving face or how we're gonna appear or how it will tarnish our reputation. So that's one thing that I feel like, as an immigrant living here in the US, can see that's good about Americans, is that more often than not, they don't care what the neighbors think or say. They do what they want to do, they say what they want to say, and they behave how they want to behave in terms of what's good for them and what's good for their family, instead of thinking about their reputation first and acting about, oh my God, what will the neighbors think about me or say about me? They're not worried or concerned about gossip or rumors, unlike, most, or if a lot of Filipinos are. We're worried about rumors or gossip about what people are gonna say about us or talk about us, and we tend to act accordingly or behave accordingly, or we tend to hide things or sweep things under the rug and not discuss it because we're so concerned about if it will be perceived as a scandal or something that's very negative for the reputation of either us as individuals or as a family. So yeah, that's a toxic trait that I've noticed with Filipinos. Ano na lang ang sasabihin ng mga kapitbahay natin, or just what will the neighbors think, or just what will the neighbors say. And it's also funny as an immigrant from the Philippines living and working here, where it's doubly negative when we were already living here, like thousands of miles away from the Philippines, or where we live in Manila or the Philippines, and yet we're so concerned about what our neighbors there will say about our lives here. So isn't that just nuts? Isn't that insane? We're already thousands of miles away, and yet we still worry about what they will say based on how we're living and working here. And I know social media definitely amplifies this in a bad way, where we're really one comment or one post away from letting people know how we're doing here. So either we overcompensate for it or we don't talk about it. Perfect example. Here, we're kind of concerned about the job that we have. If it's not the same as what we used to in the Philippines, let's just say, for the sake of discussion, that I was a vice president in the Philippines, and here I'm just a supervisor or I'm just a manager. And we're so concerned about how that comes out to our countrymen or to our neighbors back home that it becomes detrimental. You don't accept any jobs because you think it's beneath you. And we don't think about, this is a completely different landscape here. First of all, it's a much bigger country. The economics are much different than how it is in the Philippines. And yet we want to have the same thing that we're doing here compared to what we're doing back home. So it's not good. That's not good. The second thing that I noticed is we tend to buy, and I was going to say, here I've noticed in the US, after living and working here for the better part of 10 years, nobody cares what your title is. Nobody cares if you get promoted, if you get demoted, if you have a job, if you don't have a job. It's just part of the reality here that sometimes you get laid off, sometimes you get a new job, sometimes you get promoted, sometimes you get demoted. And nobody seems to really care about that here, unlike us back home. So yeah, that's the first thing, where we're thinking about, oh, what will the neighbors say if I accept this job or I do this job, which is less than what I used to do back in the Philippines. The second one is like status symbols in terms of material items. Like, we show that, oh, we're driving this car here and it's better than the car I used to drive back home, right? So what we would do is we would get into crazy debt just so we can be seen on social media that we're driving a BMW or a Mercedes Benz, because that's the status symbol back in the Philippines. So we're putting on this show for the neighbors back home. And I'm like, that's just insane. Here, if you notice, nobody cares what car you drive. So what if you're driving whatever car? Really, nobody cares. No, I've never heard a conversation here about they're praising you because of the car that you're driving, or they're criticizing you because of the car that you're driving. Unlike back home where we have to impress these neighbors and show them we've reached a certain level or status or level of success because we're driving these kinds of cars. So those are two prime examples of ano na lang ang sasabihin ng mga kapitbahay, or what will the neighbors say or think. And we do that by projecting this image that's not necessarily true. And we act out of trying to impress our neighbors back home just to show that we're of a certain status, or we're successful in a certain way. And it becomes detrimental, like I said, when you can't afford it and you get into debt, or you resort to certain things just so you can project this image. And the truth is, and I've learned this through the years and the decades, is that nobody cares. Nobody cares really about what's going on with you or in your life, whatever you post on social media. People are busy, they have their own lives, they have their own problems to think of. So yeah, let's try to decrease that mindset of operating and behaving from a sense of trying to impress our neighbors, not even here, but back in the Philippines or back in Manila. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and let's have a dialogue about it, because I'd really love to hear what you guys think about it. Not just, the Filipinos who are watching this, but also from other people who think that this applies to them as well, or that they feel that, yeah, this is something that needs to be addressed. So yeah, that's our 16 minutes for the day. I resolved to, make these videos about 10 minutes long, but it seems to extend. So yeah, that's our vlog for today. Tune in again next time to the vlog for new videos. And yes, let's keep commenting, keep liking, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.